pursuing double degree in mechanical engineering and industrial design. Born in Indian household, Haley Burry kid, grown in Melbourne. And on YouTube, he made a Beyblade out of a stone. 27,000 views and counting. That's our today's guest. Trust me, you want to hear how he's pulling it all off. Welcome Harsh Thapar and welcome you all to Be Beyond Blissful.
Hello.
Hi Harshi.
Hello.
How would you want to introduce yourself?
Well, I'll say my name's Hershdeep Thapar. Most people call me Hershey, which is a lot more fun to say. I am 21 years old. I'm a student in RMIT University. I am in a degree of mechanical engineering and industrial design, a double degree. And I am a creator for first and foremost, I'd say. Like, that's my biggest thing. I'm a creator, whether it be practical or digital. Like, that's who I am. That's who I am.
Harshi, I happen to know you from quite a long time now.
True.
But not as I'm seeing you now.
No.
I've seen you from when you were a kid.
Young,
like,
yeah.
Very
actually,
young.
Very young. I think even for, like, your kids, I saw them, like, half as what their age is now.
Yeah.
And, like, yeah, I'd say probably around before COVID, probably. I think so. It was like when I remember meeting you initially. And so, yeah, our mums are friends. You and my mum are friends. And I've known you for a while, but a lot's changed. I'm, 21. So now, different phase of my life, I'd say.
Very interesting phase. And I just saw this project of yours on Instagram. I happen to follow you on Instagram and I was so impressed that, wow, first of all, congratulations for coming up with something like this. It is a uni project of yours, which we will come back to. On it really intrigued me. Are you okay for me to ask you everything and anything that I want to?
Yeah.
Because I'm quite intrigued. And youngsters, especially your generation, does have a lot of, different perspective to life. You have a lot of ideas. And I like to capture all of that. I like learning.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a big learning for me as well today.
Of course. Why not?
Okay. So tell me, why engineering and why like such mechanical and such hard to pronounce degrees?
Well, in particular, from early on, I'd always been making stuff, whether that be out of cardboard, Legos. A lot of my things when I was younger, I'd be making stuff. I mean, my earliest creation I can remember, earliest creation is like a milk carton and some cardboard and making like I remember like a car vehicle out of a milk crate. That's like 8 years old probably. But then like as I grow older, it was probably projects got bigger and bigger. Making probably one of my biggest ones was like a giant Lego Man costume out of cardboard. So I made a costume out of cardboard, fully scaled to my body at like 16 years old, 15 years old. And it was sort of like a fun project on my 15th birthday to go to school in the costume out of cardboard in like a giant Lego Man costume. And it was a lot of fun because it was the first time I got to see the reaction of my project around a bunch of people. And then as the years go on, projects have just gotten a lot more complex. And so when I was younger, it would be a lot of fun making projects. But as I've grown older, the idea of projects has become sort of beyond a hobby, which is good because that means that it's growing and it's growing for a reason. It's growing for a purpose. So I mean, uni projects is currently a lot of where my time is spent, and YouTube projects is a lot of where my time is spent. And in particular, this is a uni project in and of itself. So that's where it sort of started.
A lot of kids, they do make stuff out of cartons, right? A lot of boys especially, we all start there, and primary school kids are, they all make such things. What do you think gets lost in between that they stop creating, or what was still there in you that really inspired you to still create? And the costume you are telling me at 15-year-old, when you're 15, it's very, somebody could be like, oh, I'm gonna be embarrassed, I can't do this, but you did it. So first thing, tell me, what did you do or what you didn't do that helped you in this creative space, that you still went on creating? Because a lot of kids start creating and they stop.
Yes, it's true. Well, I think it's not really one thing. Like, it's sort of a core foundation of who you are. Like for me, I'm very much ingrained in the practical creating stuff. So that's where that sort of basis you kind of have to have. So I mean, a lot of kids like me, they would grow up, they would start from making stuff like that. As they grow up, what sort of get lost is multiple factors. I think sort of the ability to sort of think more creatively has sort of gotten lost, which is not a factor of like the kid's fault. It's more of like the surrounding environment that you're in. Where in my school, at least, in Haileybury, it's academic first. It is not like anything you want. It is academic first, foremost. And especially from like early years of school, it is all academics. And it doesn't help when you're trying to do your own thing sometimes, which is, it's a balance. You need to have academics. That's not disputed at all. You have to. But then there's elements of practicality and creativity that you need that at least my school did supply, at least, which was very nice. Like one of my subjects was product design and technology, which is woodworking basically. And so from like year 10 to year 12, I did woodworking projects, which was a lot of fun. Systems engineering is sort of a basic fun engineering course where you get to, subject where you get to just have as much fun in engineering field, but you learn the technical know-how, but you get to make a fun project at the end. I think it can get lost where you lose your spark of not being able to create stuff anymore. And it kind of depends on the person, the kid as they grow up, their environment as well, as long as they have that facilities and capabilities to be able to create whatever they want. You have to have freedom in that sense, which is a hard balance, It is a hard balance. Because academics is very important, but it's not always the be all end all. It's more than academics. You need creativity to be academically inclined. And especially in these days, you need creativity especially.
You do need creativity forever in life. I think if you are not being creative, you are losing the spark for life. That's how I see, even when I'm turning 40 soon. That's why this is something I create, so which keeps me going.
Yeah, it is great.
One thing that you touched on is academics and, having a balance in your surroundings as well. When you were growing up, I'm sure there were a lot of video games still are. I mean, this day and age is totally different from yours, but how did you navigate between, being able to create, put your head down and create, and not just being stuck in front of the screen, TV, games, iPad?
I think I can't deny that I was stuck in a lot of those things. Like, but
there was some sort of balance.
Yes.
You were not engrossed in it, because if you were, definitely you lose your creativity. If you are totally into that, you will lose your creativity at some stage. And if there wasn't a balance, then you wouldn't be still creating.
That's pretty true. I mean, I don't think my parents would deny the fact that I was, playing games on my iPad, watching YouTube a lot, which is, from their perspective, true. And it was right. But I think what wasn't lost in me was a drive and a goal, an inspiration. I think you have to have an inspiration for it not to get lost. And I think thinking about it now, one of the biggest inspirations for me was a channel called Hacksmith, where they're doing essentially the same thing that I want to be doing. They're making comic book projects or things into reality. And I'll never forget, there's this one specific video that's sort of lost to me. I can't quite find it, that moment, but he said in his video that the main person running the YouTube channel, he has a degree in mechanical engineering. And I was like, that's it, mechanical engineering. Okay, that's it. And I found that out in like year 9. And when I found out in like year 9, I was like, okay, mechanical engineering's it. That's what I'm going to be doing. It was like this guy, Hacksmith, he makes all the projects that I've always dreamed of, you know, and I have a lot of those projects I want to be doing. He has a mechanical engineering degree. Done. Okay, let's do that. And so as I grew beyond year 9, I realized, okay, mechanical engineering is great, but there's two sides to it. There's the academic side, and there's the theory side, and then there's the practical side. I like the theory. I like the practical side more. I don't want the theory as much. I want to know it, but not to the extent of that's the pathway I'm going down. Then I found out industrial design was a thing. When product design, where the woodworking class was, I was like, oh, this is a whole field on and of itself. This is like woodworking. You make projects from your creation, your mind, and you can do whatever you want there. That's also what I want. Okay, is there a mix? Yes, there is a mix. Mechanical engineering and industrial design. Perfect. That's it. That's my end goal. I found out in like, I think year 11 or year 10, I found out in RMIT there's a double degree for mechanical engineering and industrial design. I was like, oh, done. So for the next few years, it was working towards getting into that double degree, which was a journey in and of itself. But that was the core foundation where I was like, I wrote it down on a yellow piece of paper. I know my mom will and my dad will like remember it distinctly. I had this yellow piece of paper where I wrote down every single possible score I would need to get for me to get into that double degree or the mechanical engineering. I needed to figure out, okay, for English, I need this result. For maths, I need this result. For science and history and product design, I need this result. And if I get this result, there's a chance I can get into mechanical engineering. And I had backup degrees of like, if I wasn't an engineer, I would have been a kindergarten teacher. I would have taught a lot of kids in that sort of practical sense and art sense. That was something where I saw a lot of teachers do that, and I love that a lot. That's a future. That's a different life of me. But that was where I found out, okay, if I can get this result for mechanical engineering, I'm good. And mechanical engineering is the person that made the YouTube channel. He makes all the projects I want. Done. I'm gonna do that. And it worked out pretty well. I'm pretty close to that stage. I'm like sort of in between the stage of doing the degree that he's doing, but a bit more tailored to what I want specifically. And then it's going to be next few years when that degree and my capabilities will shine a lot more, hopefully.
So you can not just create and design a structure, you can put a life to it mechanically.
Yes, exactly.
Which is perfect balance.
Yeah.
So you studied in Haileybury, which is a private school here in Melbourne.
That's right.
You do give a lot of credit to your academics and to your school environment because that's what you just said, that it depends on your environment where you are. Why am I asking this is, as a mother, I see, how I can channel my kids' energy into the right direction, especially with so much information that we have. I always think about it, how I would like to see my kids as adults.
Of course.
So you think that it really makes a difference what school they are going in?
Yes and no. It's not just one, it's not black and white. I think it makes a difference in their behavior, in like the person that they grow up to be. I think who they end up being is ultimately dependent on the person themselves, but the environment impacts a lot. I would say in terms of academics, if I wasn't in Haileybury and I had a school that was less academic, it would be fine for me. That wouldn't change me academically too much. It would probably benefit me a little bit. But what Haileybury, at least in my perspective, has an advantage of is the environment that you're in. Like I think about it where Haileybury is very multicultural. Like there's a lot of Indians, Asians, Japanese, Chinese, anyone from any cultural background there is. And I realized as like when I got out of uni, I was like, oh, like when I got out of school, it's like you don't really see that much in other schools.
True.
And I was like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that was a thing. It was just common. It was normal for me to realize. So the environment that you're in impacts a lot. And I wouldn't say that private school is the best environment for anyone. It's sort of definitely a good environment to be. At least for me, it helped me a lot where I was like, I wasn't very academic. I'm dyslexic. I can say that. That's fine. I figured that out when I was like in year 5. I did like a cognitive test and they said that you have dyslexia. I was like, oh wow, okay, wow, that actually makes a lot of sense. I didn't realize. But then as I sort of grew up, the academic knowledge and foundation that you learn from, at least in Haileybury, helped me a lot. Where it impacts, but it impacts differently for everyone. At least it helped me a lot. And especially with my confidence, especially in YouTube videos, doing this sort of thing, I can like present myself and feel confident. I can still feel nervous, but like that foundation from Haileybury at least helped a lot. So
Yes.
it really depends. It really depends.
No, I totally agree that your surroundings do shape you to who you are, whether you like it or you don't like it.
course.
Because if you are hanging around with 4 people who are successful, you'll end up being the fifth one.
person, yeah.
And if you are hanging around with 4 losers, you'll end up being the 5th one. End of
That's fair.
story.
That's fair.
That's the bottom line for me. So I'm always worried about who I'm hanging around with,
Yeah.
not just in person, what I'm listening to, what I'm eating, what environment I like to go to, all those things. And now tell me about your YouTube channel. When I invited you, I did not even know you had a YouTube channel. That too 4-5 years ago. Wow. And your project, like the Beyblade, can you explain that? How did that come up when you were 16, I guess?
I guess so. So my channel name is Skygo Master. It is a combination of my 2 favorite things as a child, Skylanders and Ninjago. And for those kids that are my age, they'll understand a lot. And the Master is just random, but it's a lot of fun. And I had that name since like year 8, I think. And and I had that on Instagram, Skygo Master, for a while. And people know me by Skygo Master, which is kind of funny. At least close friends do. And I haven't like posted it as much. My channel is basically, the ethos of it is practically creating my childhood obsessions into a tangible reality, where I make using the medium of like 3D printing and woodworking and technology, electronics, I can make all the projects as a kid into whatever imagination I have now with all the capabilities and resources that I have now. That's my entire channel. And so one of my biggest videos that I made was a Beyblade out of stone, and it was titled The World's First Stone Beyblade. Technically true. I don't think... I tried to do research beforehand, but it is considered the world's first Beyblade. It's like a metal... It's like a burst series Beyblade. And so it was designed off a very popular Beyblade shape. I just basically carved a stone into the shape of a Beyblade and got to actually use it against other Beyblades and made a whole video about it when I was, so 4 years ago. The first video was 21, so I think it was 22. And so, 2022. I posted that video, and when I posted initially, it did really well. It was like, for like my 3rd video ever, it was like 600 views around about, which was great. It was like impressive in like a few months. I was like, damn, a few weeks. And then a few months later, like 8 months later or so, I posted that in April as like the 10th anniversary of Beyblade. 10 months or so later, 8 months or so later, November, it hit 1,000 views a day, 1,000 views a day, 1,000 views a day. It reached 27,000 views, capped out at that much. I was like, damn, this is crazy. I've never experienced that much interaction for a video like that, and especially that early on. Like my third video, that was impressive. So it's like a beginning story. It's like as the years goes on, hopefully that story will be just small compared to a lot of things I eventually do. But it's a really fun story because it's at least the first time I ever realized that, oh damn, I can do this. I can do this pretty well. And it was basic. It was shot on my iPad. I recorded part of it on my iPad. You can tell the grains on the video as well. It wasn't any good quality mic, I think. It was like a wide cable mic, and it worked out pretty well. But the thing that was there was, I feel like the enthusiasm for it was like, oh, this is sick. This is a good idea. And that's sort of stayed, like in the video projects that I've been thinking of doing. It sort of stayed the enthusiasm of like, oh, as a kid, I wanted to do this so bad, but I never was able to. And so that's where my YouTube channel is. That's what it is. It's like making all the things I ever wanted as a kid into reality.
I still see the enthusiasm though.
Yeah.
When you're talking about it, you're extremely enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Like it was your first creation, which is great. So I think all the kids who are 10, 11, 12 probably are still watching it, how to do it, probably practicing it. So amazing, guys. Do check it out. It's
I appreciate that.
it's an amazing video. Tell me one thing. So my son is quite intrigued with all those things, and he's very creative. He does Lego. He makes things out of Lego motor, and he sketches as well. What should I be doing to support him?
I think for me, with me and Paji, the freedom to allow me to like be allowing me to do those sorts of things with Legos. If you see my room, like you'll find it on Instagram somewhere. My desk and shelf is just full of Legos everywhere, and from the ground up. And I think allowing a bit of leniency and freedom in terms of like, here's like something that you enjoy, but it's something creative. Hey, that's good. Maybe you can do whatever you want with it. Legos especially is probably the greatest thing on earth when it comes to creative freedom. It's hard to say. I mean, I think a better question would be to ask my parents in terms of how they allow that.
No, but you what do you think when you go back? Because I want to hear it from you, from your perspective. Yes, your parents will tell me, probably I'm already doing those things, what they would tell me, I don't know. But I want to know it from first-hand experience that, this is what my parents did that helped me, or this is something that they did that did not help me. So don't do this or do this.
I think it's hard to pinpoint, maybe a bit hard to pinpoint, but I'd say, that creative freedom to allow, like, especially when it came to academics, they were like, you're not confined to med or business or software or anything like that. You're able to do whatever you want, and that's very relieving for me, at least as a kid. If I think about it now, if I was forced into med or anything like that, goddamn, I would not be enjoying that at all. But I think the freedom to allow me to be willing to me to go into any field I want is probably long term the most comfortable thing for me and helped me a lot. I'd say you need that foundation, so academics is important. So still keeping them in school and doing all your homework and all that sort of stuff. But as they grow older, and if they don't know what they want to do, or they do know what they want to do, having the freedom to allow them to say, hey,
explore.
You need to reach this goal of like 120 package or whatever, job, field, anything professional, but you can do engineering, you can do med, you can do whatever you want, but as long as you have that financial stability and at the end, right? I think the end goal for everyone is financial stability
It's
and
very important.
and personal stability as well, for your own sake, for your own, like if I was doing med, I would not be personally stable, but having that comfort to be able to know, I'm I'm my parents are okay with me doing engineering, and it's engineering that I want, and it's not just like technical engineering, it's also practical engineering. They're okay with that. Great, let's do that. And then continuing on from there, saying, okay, but where's the scope? Where's the allowance for you to do all the things that you want, but earn the financial stability, earn that job area and field? And at least in here in Melbourne, in Australia, there's a lot of that scope to be able to do different fields and different things and different jobs. It's hard to find sometimes, but it exists at least. I did an internship in a place called Rove Wheelchairs. Rove is just their name, but they make titanium and carbon fiber wheelchairs, and so and it's the world's lightest wheelchair. I don't know if that's coined or not, but it is really, really good. And so they 3D print titanium into wheelchairs and manufacture it in house. And I got to do an internship there, and it was like 3 months, 3 months or 2 months of working there as an intern, and it was a lot of fun. And it was like, it was a job in my field of mechanical engineering, and it was the most fun I had because it was like practically creating everything. And so that's where I'm glad I have that freedom of like, oh, I can do engineering, I can do something practical. My parents are okay with that.
Okay, they must be thriving with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Being Indian parents.
Absolutely.
You want your kids to do either engineering or do med. I mean, that's where I came from. Thought of school.
Exactly.
My parents had that thought always, and I didn't end up doing any, so I wasn't considered to be successful anyway.
But now you're here.
It's fine. It's a journey. Success is not something you can define. It's different for everybody, but I'm just joking around it that your parents must be very happy.
No, they're glad, yeah.
So, but you know, one thing, Hershey, you're saying that academics doesn't matter that much, or it doesn't really matter. But I think the internship that you did, the place where you went to, it all depends on how academically good you are. In the end, that really does matter, and what school you went to, because that holds certain position, and it automatically gives you certain leverage. Your marks, they give you certain leverage. So you can't just say that no, academics is not important, what school you go to is not important. But it's
there's a foundation needed for sure. Like there's a base knowledge of academics that's must have for you to be able to thrive. Like in Haileybury, if you didn't have at least a foundation of all the academics, it was tough for you to do well. And so I don't know if it was like a private school sort of thing where the academic level is pretty high. And so I wouldn't say I reached academic level, but I was probably more capable than I actually thought I was. And so there's a foundation must have.
You know what I think?
Works out well.
What my thought process is that if you put your kids in a herd of kids who are already, you know, at the top, excelling, or they are at the front, even if they are at the back of the herd, they are still at the front.
That's true. Yes.
So you know, that's what the community does to you, basically.
It is pretty accurate, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what my thought process is, and I just, you know, try and do everything best within my scope of things, that I put my kids into the very best that I can afford and I can work around with. And okay, so let's come to this project.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And you said you worked at a place as an intern. You did your internship where they were making wheelchairs.
Yeah.
So again, that's a very, you know, thing. Wheelchairs people use when they are not certainly capable, right? You know, there are certain
Capabilities.
capability issues that they have. This is something I think. So is that the thought process you had because you've already worked in that
It definitely
area? It
helped.
did.
Yeah.
So you had that thing in your mind that maybe
Yeah.
I can create something.
Yeah.
So tell us about this project. What is it? Where did it come from?
Mm-hmm. So the project is named Evo Lift. It's short for like Evolved Lift. It was a fun name that me and my friend Methun Abikun, sorry, Methun Abikun, he helped me work on this project uh, for a class called Design Design Studio something. Sorry, I forgot. But it was a class where you're basically helping a client, a person to help in an everyday issue that they have and solve that sort of problem for them. As designers, as engineers, you work to solving problems for people. And so this person is playing lawn ball, but they sort of have weakness on the left side of their body.
Certain
That
disability.
certain disability that over time where they become more prone to fatigue, and they want to be able to play lawn ball at somewhat of a professional level and play that independently as well. And so the idea came about where we had an initial meeting with this person, and she said that she wanted to be able to play lawn ball independently. And I basically threw out the question of like, okay, what's your dream scenario? If you could figure out like something that's like you it wouldn't feasibly be possible right now, but like if you could do it, what is your dream scenario when it comes to playing lawn ball and help you with your fatigue? And she said basically if she could have basically like an elevator on like a stick, and it would just like lift up the ball off the ground, and so that when she's playing lawn ball she can sort of uh use that stick to be able to lift the lawn ball up for her, so she doesn't have to go every time grab it from the ground and then her body becomes more fatigued. She can use basically an elevator on a stick. And I was like, done. Okay, let me try to figure that out. I was like, this has some technology aspect to it. I'm in mechanical engineering. Everyone else is in design. Makes sense. Most of the ideas that people were working through were very mechanical, like it was like levers and stuff like that. But the idea for me was like I can incorporate some technology into this and see if this works. Now the biggest constraints were it had to be lightweight, easy to carry around, and easy to use as well, and efficient as well. Like so it lifts up the lawn ball pretty quickly. And the idea was sort of uh, the main concern was with electronics. It was hard for it to be lightweight, which I was like, okay, that's fair enough. I understand. But I was like, it can be pretty light. I think it can work out pretty well. So over the course of like a month, initially, I was working on the idea for um, incorporating some technology into it. And I eventually landed on, okay, how do you make an elevator? An elevator needs a cage, it needs a lever, and it needs a pulley system. And what rotates the pulley? A motor. A motor. What has a motor in like handheld form? A screwdriver. Oh, okay, a screwdriver. Let me use a screwdriver. And then I found I've been using this Hoto electric screwdriver, and it's very powerful, very compact. It's like 220 grams or something like that. And I was like, wait, this works out perfectly. I've been using this for years. And I was like, this can work. Okay, now it's just a pulley, a platform, a guide, and then an electric screwdriver. Simple, sort of simple, not really.
No,
But
not simple. Yeah.
but the concept was like,
Hmm.
okay, done. Okay, let me work through it. Then Mithun came aboard to help me fine tune the idea and the execution of actually making the electric screwdriver. Um, and incorporate it into basically a platform lifting stick, basically. And so that was the whole concept of Evo Lift. And so we had worked through months, 3 months or 2 months or so, of fine tuning the concept, 3D modeling everything, and in SketchUp, I use SketchUp a lot to 3D model, and 3D printing everything. I'd done enormous amounts of 3D printing to be able to test everything, concept, make sure everything design looks great, practically works right. Eventually I got to present the project to everyone, and the presentation worked out really great. And yeah,
So the client was happy with it?
Client was happy with it. And so for all those audience listeners, you won't be able to see, but it's basically a screwdriver that can work on a platform, and the platform sort of comes down. Maybe I might move the...
No, we'll make a video out of it. Don't worry. Yeah. We'll make a video and put it up there.
But it is somewhat loud. That's the only sort of issue that I'm having now. But basically, you'll see on the video on the screen, hopefully, that the video shows the ball just lifting off the ground, and it works out pretty well. It does it in like 5 seconds or so from ground to sort of hip level is sort of the main goal, and it's great. It's really great.
It is amazing. It's actually pretty amazing. And I thought it was very cool of someone of your age, just be at 21, coming up with something like this. So what I got out is that you asked the right questions, that what she wanted. And it's so important to be able to listen and not... So what you did was you sat with her, with the client, and you asked her all the questions, which, many people struggle with. Even at my age, they struggle to ask the right questions of what you want to do and what not. So I thought it's very, very cool for you to able to get out of them what they want and then come up with your innovation and your creativity, what you can help them with, rather than having a mindset of, oh, maybe I can make this. How about this? How about that? Imposing your ideas on her, which you could do anyway. Anyone could do so.
Down the line, when you sort of figure out something like more to what you want, then you just pitch it again. We have sort of every month we had 4 meetings, and so we sort of got to ask more questions on this concept, our progress, what had we been doing. I had been traveling actually 4 weeks during that entire semester, so it was a lot of juggling, and you have to be able to communicate. You can't just one initial meeting and then the last one say, oh, it's done. No, it's a process. It's a process. And so it was a lot of fun to be able to ask, what do you want? How would this work? How lightweight or how heavy does it need to be? Sort of asking the question of like, does holding one milk crate feel a bit too heavy for you? And so that you can sort of get a gauge on like, because she's in Queensland. I actually didn't mention it. She's on Queensland, so she's not even in Melbourne. So we had to do over Teams and sort of ask questions that way. And that was sort of the main process there. And once all the questions were asked, you sort of pitch your ideas throughout the semester and be like, does this work out? Is this too heavy? That was my biggest tackle with me. It was like, it's too heavy. Is this going to work out? And eventually it did. It's sort of 750 grams, and most of the weight is up the top, and it feels when you look at it, it's like, oh, it might be a bit heavy. No,
it's very light.
It is pretty light.
It's pretty light,
and so it works out pretty nice.
Anyone can just lift it up and put it in the car boot easily. It's not huge.
Exactly, and there's room for improvement, definitely with stability to make it feel, it's like wobbly, but it's wobbly because it's so light. If you want it to be lightweight, you can't have it too heavy, but it's still stable enough to lift
the ball.
2.5 kg lawn ball, even a jack, the small balls that they use at the end of the lawn ball pitch. It sort of works in both ways, and it's a lot of fun. It's a project that was designed to be open source, meaning that anyone can jump in and work on it as much as they want. And I have I'll share links of like all the files and everything that people can print. They can use Make a World and then use a Bamboo Lab printer, print it however they want, modify it, open source, make it however they want, tailor it to whatever they want. So
What was
there's
the costing of it?
costing the filament in and of itself. I have it here, $16 ish. So like half a spool. A spool is 1 kg, so half a spool of filament used to 3D print everything. You need a 3D printer, so that's one factor in cost, secondary cost. But then you have carbon fiber rod, which is $30 ish. Then some wood, some metal, and some screws for the hinges, and the electric screwdriver. Electric screwdriver's $80. In terms of overall costs, would be around about 120.
120.
130 for putting everything together. Which is majority of the cost comes from the electric screwdriver, and it works out pretty great. There's some limitations in terms of projects, like lifting it can be a bit intensive, but inherently it's not too bad.
Not at all. I think it's pretty great idea to be able to come up with something which is, it has a very emotional side of it as well. If you look at it, if for someone who wants to play lawn ball, or if they can't lift up, this thing is really, really helpful. It's lightweight, number one, and easy to carry. So for me personally, it was very touching to see 21-year-old coming up with something like this, to be able to, which a lot of people with disabilities can use, because I have had first-hand experience, looking at people with disabilities. Given my daughter has cerebral palsy, hers is not very extensive. She's, we are blessed that she's very independent. She can do everything herself.
That's great.
But I've been to hospitals. I've seen people with all sort of disabilities. I've worked in school with special needs, where I've seen kids, who struggle with these things. So having that sort of perspective, when I see this, maybe people don't see certain disabilities or certain people with certain capabilities every single day in normal life. But when you see a different side of people, like, yes, there's a world that exists where not everybody can fit into this normal world. This thing is really, really helpful.
Yeah.
Amazingly helpful. I think if anyone who wants to make it, do you think you're open for them to be able to contact you on your YouTube, on your Instagram? Or if anyone has any other idea of uni project or school project, any project, they can just contact you on your Instagram, and you'd be able to help them fine-tune their ideas?
Of course. I mean, the main thing is, I'd say, difficult with uni to balance everything now. I work a job as well, sort of 16 hours in total in a week, or it's not much, it's a casual job, but then uni as well, a couple of days. But I would love to help out anyone. I think the whole point of a project becomes more fulfilling when it's for someone else. This was the most fun I've had in a project because it was for someone else. They got to experience it. They got to feel like, oh, this actually helps. This is useful. And it was a fun journey to be able to make projects. So I'm keen to help out anyone for sure. And it all depends, it's like, it all depends on the project. Takes time. That's kind of the biggest thing. This took time, it took 3 months or 4 months of actual like fabrication and coming up with the idea and everything. But then when it came to making, once you make the thing, it's already done. I had a black version that was sent out to the client, and don't know if she got to use it, but I'll know that for sure one day. Then I made a copy of my own, but even then, once I made this copy, I was like, there's still so many things to improve. There was still so many things
Mm.
I fixed at the end. I was like, okay, this is better. I can make this even better. Um, so I'm happy to help out anyone for sure. Uh, I don't know if I have the capabilities or facilities or even what you want, but I'm down to
Just
help
fine
out.
tune the ideas.
Of
What was
course.
your biggest hurdle when you were making this?
I think the weight. The weight is like I had one that was much heavier, and it was
What do you mean by had one? You had made one?
yeah, like
It
this
turned out
was
heavy?
yeah, this was probably prototype number 5, I'd say. And so there was like multiple prototypes in between where it was using wooden tubes as like the guide rails to be able to lift up the platform, which was a lot heavier. Then I found out carbon fiber exists, which I've known for a while, but I was like, they exist. I can buy them on Amazon and they work perfectly to what I want. Okay, carbon fiber is much lighter than wood and still as durable as strong. That works out great, and they're much smoother as well for the guide rails. So when I came up with the idea, it was sort of it was sort of seen of like, oh, this doesn't seem feasible because it's just so heavy. I'm like, oh yeah, I agree, it is pretty heavy. But when I worked through it more and more, I was like, okay, I can cut here, I can make this a bit lighter, I can make this area a bit stronger here and there, and make this a lot more sturdy and rigid. I'd say that was probably the biggest hurdle in terms of figuring out how to make an electric screwdriver platform lift basically as lightweight as possible. And eventually it worked out, and it's pretty great. But that was by far the biggest hurdle for sure.
Now tell me about yourself.
Mm.
Do you drink?
Nah,
Just
I,
curious.
of course. I don't drink at all. I feel like I've always said this to other people, my friends, but drinking feels like a net loss. It's like, you drink, you enjoy yourself, but at the end of the day, you'll feel the
How do
repercussions
you know if you
afterwards.
haven't drunk? Like, how does it feel to be?
Well, I can tell from other people around me.
Right.
That's the biggest thing. Where like my closest friends don't really drink, but I've seen enough people that drink that be like afterwards how it impacts them. And I feel like nowadays the world's open, internet exists. You see the impact that drinking and drugs and everything around you a lot more than back then, probably when internet wasn't as vast. You wouldn't see it as commonly and the effect it has long term. And I'm very much a future sight. I think ahead a bit too much sometimes, but it works out in my favor for things like that where it's like it just feels like a net loss. I can enjoy myself without drinking pretty much easily without anything like that. So in my head, I'm like, it's a net loss. No point in that. I can enjoy myself with anything else.
So you think in your generation, if you go out and say, "Oh, I don't drink," you're not frowned upon, looked down upon, or you're not
Nowadays, no.
sidelined?
Nowadays I don't think so. Like there's a probably a stigma be like, oh, you don't drink? And I'll be like, yeah, I don't really drink. It's like, okay, sure. Yeah. It's like I'd
Wow.
say it's a bit more comfortable and more acceptable, but I also am not in that space to be able to know that much. It probably isn't. It depends on where you are, realistically. I think my friend group and anyone around me, they're more comfortable with it, and the people that I know, they're more comfortable with people not drinking, and socially, I think it's okay, but it really depends on the environment. I don't think people care as
It does
much.
depend on the environment, but I
Yeah.
surely see that world is changing
Yeah.
and changing for good.
Yes.
Because if I was 21-year-old, if I went out and I wasn't drinking, I'd be like, oh my goodness, and I'd be
Yeah.
like totally sidelined.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the courage to say that I don't drink.
Yeah.
So I envy you guys,
Yeah,
I
of
was born in
course.
a wrong era, I guess.
That's fair enough. No, I do see it. I'm like, wow, yeah, I guess there was a lot of people that do drink, but like there's kind of no point. It depends on you. If you feel like drinking and you feel comfortable with it. I'm always like I like to see other people drink if they want to. I like to watch them because it's funny to me to think that they can comfortably relax, and that's fine to be able to relax themselves with drinking. But there's no point. There's no point
There's
for
no
me.
point. It doesn't do any good to
Long
you.
term, yeah, for
It
sure.
doesn't. Even short term, it
Mm,
does nothing good to you. Next day, you end up getting hangover and
Yeah.
whatnot. You just
I already
don't,
get a headache
for
as is
few
from uni.
hours, for few hours of that buzz, you end up spoiling your next whole day pretty much.
true.
So it's not that few hours. The good thing that I like about you is that you were not ashamed of admitting it. At the drop of the
Yeah.
hat, you said, no, I don't drink, which is great. And with the same confidence, the same energy. I wanted to ask you this question because, you know, the audience in India, I don't know how it is nowadays in India. Me coming from India, when I came here 20 years ago, people had this perspective, oh, Western world, Western country, you know, they have this notion of their own that how people are over there. Everybody drinks, everybody parties. You know, you forget about your culture, and what Indian culture is, you don't drink, you know, you're very grounded and all those things. I don't know how Indian kids are now who are in their 20s, if they're drinking or not. But kudos to you, and thank you for sharing that authentically, that you don't.
Yeah.
How's your day look like? I want to know because I assume actually, I don't see, I assume that a lot of Gen Zs, which you are, I hear as well, that they don't have the sense of time as we had. Like they wake up really late, they go to bed really late, they're disoriented in their, you know, day clock. Are you like that
I'd
as
say
well?
so. I would say so. I think it all depends, because for me at least, with I work at BP, and I work evening shifts, so my earliest start that I would usually, if I ever do start, it would be like a 12 p.m. Or 11 a.m. is probably the earliest. I've started early. I've done morning shifts, but the usual for me is like a 3 p.m. starting or a 12 p.m. It's in between there, and I finish at like a 9 p.m. or a 10 p.m. That's my usual routine. So in my head, I'm like, okay, my work is like evening time. Most people work are like 9 to 5, so they're morning, so their routine is much earlier. My routine is much later. It's wake up sort of midday, begrudgingly, and finishing much later. And my brain is sort of tailored to that. I function way later. I'm a pure night owl, to my own detriment sometimes. And it's okay if you can manage it, because there's still some days that you still have to do work and you have to go to uni and stuff like that. But for me at least, I wake up pretty later, and I sleep very late. And most of that time is, if I'm working during BP, then that's time spent at BP for like 6 to 8 hours. It's really not long, which is nice. And thankfully it's very flexible as well, so I can never be mad about that. It's always very nice to have BP as a job. It's probably the best first job I could have, because it is very flexible when it comes to uni times as well. Then uni is sort of middays. Some days I go, some days I don't need to. But then most of my time at home would be spent with projects, whether that be uni projects or uni homework, and then projects outside of uni. Is it raining? Oh no. Oh, kids. And then a lot of projects, on my own personal projects, whether that be, I made a foldable desk one time in my room. I like to make home projects as well. And then YouTube projects as well. Time spent isn't. I spend a lot of time thinking about YouTube projects nowadays, and I'm getting into the groove of making videos, as I used to in like year 11 or 12. It sort of stopped after year 12 YouTube, because year 12 is such a big thing. It is very important. And then uni life is hard to sort of adjust from school life. Much easier than school life, but uni is still a different beast in and of itself. The quality of work is much higher than school work. And so that's an adjustment period. And now I'm sort of at the midpoint of my degree, actually, where next year I'll finish my double degree. and I'm now looking towards the next step in terms of
Do you
what's.
see yourself working for someone, or do you see yourself working for yourself?
I think initially I might be working for someone, but at the end I would be working for myself completely.
That's like your long-term goal.
Long-term goal. I think it really depends. My sort of next 2 years of uni will be a sort of factor in terms of how well I can do YouTube and other projects at home, and make things for myself and make things for other people as well, and sort of build a business off of that. Or I go into making, sorry, or I go into making projects, or working for someone else, which is completely fine. I feel like a place like Rove is sort of what I'm gunning for anyways, and I would still be happy with that. It's a 9 to 5. It's practically making stuff. That's where I see myself in the future. So a lot of time spent now is like doing a lot of fun stuff, projects, and still having a little leeway, enjoying time for myself as well. I watch a lot of YouTube. I can't deny that. My parents won't deny that. And time spent to myself. But nowadays, I have a lot of fun with uni projects, especially the practical side. I have a lot of fun in it. So it feels stressful. I can't deny that. It is super stressful. I have a lot of projects now. It is tough, but it doesn't feel like, oh, I want to do something else. Like I'm already doing what I'm doing. So, and it's a lot of fun. So I feel like when it came to Halebry, I felt like, oh, I wanted to do something else. I wanted to do something less academic. But now I'm doing something less academic, and it feels nice and it feels great.
More like a play.
Yeah, more like a play. And so that's a lot of time spent in terms of projects and uni and work.
Tell me one thing, Hershey. So if somebody who's just finished their year 12 and they are feeling a bit lost, like I remember when I finished year 12, there were too many things that I wanted to do. I knew what I did not wanted to do, but there were too many things that I wanted to do. And I was just confused because there's no one pathway. What would you tell them?
It depends. I think I can speak to at least what I've done is when, as I mentioned, in year 9, I had like a yellow sheet of paper. It was given to everyone, and it was like planning like year 12 and everything, VC planning, and it had all the subjects written out. And once I got all the information of all the subjects, I was like, okay, I have to do English. That's a must. Maths, maybe this level of maths. But I want to do product design. I want to do systems engineering. I want to do visual communication. Those were my 3 other 1, 2, 3, 4 subjects. And sort of figuring out, you just search up, internet has everything. You search up sort of subject degrees that you're interested in. So for me, mechanical engineering, I was interested in. Okay, mechanical engineering, I'll write down on the back of a sheet of paper, just A4 sheet of paper. And I'd write down, okay, mechanical engineering, there's an 80% chance, maybe a 90% chance. This is what I want, okay? Maybe 10% might be like kindergarten teacher, as I mentioned. I wrote down 5% as like a cricketer. That never happened, but that was still fun to say. You write down all your dreams that you're thinking of as much as you want. That doesn't have to be realistic, can be as far-fetched as you want. Then you go into the realistic sort of stuff. Okay, I have these subjects, I need to do this. And then what score? Because unfortunately, you're relegated to achieving a certain goal. That's good. At least you have some sort of goal you have to aim for. So what scores do I have to get for each subject? And write down, okay, I need to achieve like a 40 in maths to be able to go into doing mechanical engineering as a prerequisite or something like that, right? So you write down every sort of subject that you're interested in and write down the score that you're maybe thinking of getting and idealizing, right? Can be as close to high achieving or low achieving, having a range, maybe a mid-range, a low range, and a high range of scores that you can achieve. And what do those sort of combination of scores looks like to get an achievable ATAR result, right?
So basically, aim for the highest,
Aim for the
and
highest,
then work your
way down,
way
yeah.
down. If not this, I will do this.
Yes.
But have things written down so that you're clear.
Yes.
And you start planning as early as possible, like
Yeah.
year 9. Is that right?
Well, it really depends because I didn't see a lot of people. There were still a few people, but a lot of people not at year 9 doing it. You can do it as late as year 11. That's still fine. Year 12 is still okay. It sort of depends on when you find your inspiration. I found my inspiration early. Okay, mechanical engineering, done deal. Eventually later, industrial
But you
design.
reckon earlier the better.
Earlier the better. It's still ideal. It's not the end of the world if you don't find
course.
it later on. You're
course.
still got plenty of time, and once you figure that out, you can sort of, as you progress, you'll realize, okay, I need to get this result. I need to do this subject to reach this prerequisite, and then my goal. Okay, my goal is mechanical engineering and and industrial design double degree. That was the main one. And then my second goal, maybe another mechanical engineering only. I actually only got into mechanical engineering as my initial result because my result wasn't that good for my ATAR. And then as the holidays went by and I got my results, I was in mechanical engineering in RMIT. And then I asked, hey, I'm already doing mechanical engineering in RMIT. I haven't started yet, but I'm in the course. I have all this industrial design work. I'm looking to go into my double degree of industrial design. Can I, show you what I've done and then say if it's possible for me to go into the double degree eventually? I gave them all the information. They were like, you know what? You can go into double degree straight away. I got into it just before I even started. So
because you had done the work in prior years.
Yes.
So you got to start planning when you're in year 9 and 10. That's the ideal time.
It helps a lot. It
does.
really does. And it's not possible for everyone. I can't say that. It was just something that I was capable in my head of, like, I know what I want. The drive is there. Once I know what I want, then I'm pretty good. So if you map it out and plan it, everything, it's possible. But also having fun with it as well. Like, I made a vision board as well that was like, for the next sort of 5 years, what do I want to achieve? Okay, I have a section for academics. I have a section for travel. Maybe I want to go to Japan. I want to go back to India. I want to go back to Paris. Travel places, things I want to buy, people I want to meet, like, that are my inspiration. The people that's hacksmith that got me into mechanical engineering. I love to meet them one day. So, and fitness goals as well, mental goals. If you see my vision board on Instagram, you'll see that that's how I sort of visualize myself and visualize everything. I'm a very visual person. So that's one strategy where I can take pictures of everything I like and put them up on a board and say, this is what I want. And then you sort of fine tune your idea from there. Be like, okay, this is what I need to do to get this.
How about if somebody wants to take a break after year 12,
After year
a
12.
gap year? Very common here in Australia.
Of
course, there's no such thing like that back in India.
Yeah.
You keep grinding.
That's true.
But is it a good idea to do it or not?
And
why didn't you do it?
I didn't do it because I already knew what I wanted. It's as simple as that. Once you know what you want, I want to get
You
the
can't
degree.
procrastinate.
I can't procrastinate. I want to get the degree done as fast as I want. But for people that don't know, a gap year is actually kind of perfect because a gap year is where, if you are capable, traveling is the best thing you can do. I've been able to travel during uni, which is not ideal, but I've been able to do it. And if you do take a gap year, traveling is one of those great things that you could do to sort of experience the world around you, and a good reset to be like, hey, like, I want to be able to travel more. Once you go traveling, you realize there's so much more I want to do. And once you realize, okay, there's so much I want to do, how do I achieve this? Then you maybe know from there, oh, okay, maybe after this time period, I want to go to another place and travel some more. So I need to work towards doing this degree or doing this job or sort of thing. So it really depends. Gap year is fine. It's okay to take. I didn't take it because I know what I want. There's no advantage to taking a gap year. At least from my perspective, I don't think that there's an advantage. But for someone that doesn't know what they want, it's okay. You need some sort of time to yourself to figure out what you want. But once you figure out what you want,
Don't delay it.
don't delay it. Work towards it as fast as you can, because it will help out a lot in the long run.
Yeah. And I think you touched on traveling bit. I truly believe that traveling opens up different horizons in your brain.
Does.
And that's one of my goals, to expose my kids to as much of the world as I
Yeah.
can as kids, because it grounds you too much.
Yes.
It shows you what's out there.
Yes,
You know,
it really
different
does.
perspective of life.
Of course.
It does open up your brain in very
Yeah.
different way.
Yeah, even just parts of, like, say, India that's not as developed opens your eyes to saying what you could do better. And then parts of the world that's very well developed, then you realize what the potential is to be able to reach that level. Then you have like a scope of like, okay, this is something that can be done. So traveling is one of the best resets and the best sort of mind, like, exploring and figuring out what you want to do.
Do you read?
No, I do not read.
That's okay. Where did you get the idea of vision board? Was it instilled from school or from your parents?
It was instilled probably not by my parents, but probably by like YouTube and content on the platform where it's like people are making vision boards. I don't in particular read because I just
That's okay. Not
Yeah, of
everybody is a
course.
reader.
Not everyone
If
reads.
you're watching the right thing on YouTube, which is inspiring you to
Yeah.
do something creative, then why not? I mean,
Yeah.
that's good enough.
Yeah, and I took the medium of not being able to read, but have my better skill of visual learning as a way to be able to learn from that. So vision board came from from YouTube, and that is where I've been able to excel in a lot of cases. I think videos, I learn a lot from videos, and I learn a lot from YouTube and stuff like that, and content and stuff
Is
like
that
that.
something to do with your dyslexia?
Partly, I'd say so. I wouldn't know for certain, but I would say so.
I don't know what exactly dyslexia is,
Mm.
but I just wanted to quickly touch base before we wrap this up.
Of course.
You said you're dyslexic, and coming up to you doing mechanical engineering and industrial engineering, how does that work?
It doesn't work out too well, but it helps in certain aspects that I don't think other people will have. I like to think of myself as pretty unique. I don't know if that's egotistical or not, but I'm unique enough where I'm confident in my skills, and my skills are pretty unique sometimes to everyone. And that partly probably comes from my dyslexia, or just not even dyslexia, but just my way of thinking is different. I'm, as I said, very visual. Probably, I think it's the left side of my brain that's sort of the more practical side. And so that's where it sort of comes from, that aspect where I can learn from that area. And I don't think dyslexia is sort of a hindrance. It's sort of just a different way of learning. And especially in Haileybury, it was comfortable and taught in different avenues to be able to learn different ways. But then once I grew older, I learned that learning can be not just, reading or anything like that. It can be visual, YouTube, but you have to be able to funnel it. And specifically, it's a skill. It's a skill for sure.
Amazing. I mean, I feel I can talk so much more, but anyway, we'll have to end up this
Of course.
somewhere. One thing, the last thing before going, why did you say yes to coming to this podcast? Because, a lot of people, I ask them, not everybody says yes. I
Yeah.
try to bring a lot of people here. Not everybody is open to it. And being a youngster, why would you thought, yes, you're a perfect guest for Be Beyond Blissful?
Well, I don't know if I thought I was a good guest. I thought with your pitch, you mentioned that this project you felt that you resonated well with, and the whole project of the Evo Lift stemmed from that, building off someone that needs help in their everyday life, and they want to make it advantageous for them to live a better life. And I felt that, like, I could actually talk about it. You know, I thought initially I was a bit concerned because I didn't know how well I could relate this project to what you sort of saw in it. But then as we sort of talked more about it, you saying that it could help your daughter, that you sort of had someone that plays lawn ball specifically.
Not my daughter, but someone.
No, yeah, someone else, sorry.
Yeah.
That plays lawn ball specifically, and then that is sort of similar scenario in that case. I was like, oh wow, okay, this I can talk about it more, and I can feel comfortable. And everything else I can talk about pretty easily when it comes to my life. But when it came to this project and your pitch of like, okay, this is something I feel resonates well, I was like, okay, yeah, I can resonate with that and I can talk about it. So let's go for it.
Thank you so much for saying yes, first of all. And I really admire your personality, the way you are, the way you're carrying yourself.
Thank you.
I love the fact that you were not authentic at all. You were just totally authentic. You are not shy to present yourself the way you are, which is so amazing.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the best for your future projects and for your future. I hope you do very, very wonderful things in your life. And hopefully 5 years time, we'll see you back here, see what you're doing, what you've come up with.
Absolutely. And in 5 years time, we'll see how this grows as well.
Yes.
It is very impressive what you're doing. So it was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. And see everyone.
Thank you.
Be happy, stay happy. And I'll see you in the next one, whatever it might be. That's what I just say at the end of my videos. It's just a lot of fun.